Good morning. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to our visitors who are watching live stream. You are part of our community. This community of new thinkers, those human beings who are evolving so quickly that they are willing to jettison superstition and dogma and embrace enduring truths that they can prove for themselves and that are backed up by the latest in science. So welcome, everybody. This is an extraordinary place to be. I would say this is the place to be. I arrived here today by horseless carriage, and so did you. And we can thank Mr. Daimler, Mr. Benz, and Mr. Ford for that, and there were probably others. These folks had an idea. I wonder, they thought, they imagined, do these carriages run by themselves? Is there any way to help them move without the horses? Well, they certainly proved that that was true, and that led to all the modern cars we have a love-hate relationship with. Love our cars, but hate the traffic. It was today in downtown San Diego. It was Pride, started Pride Week. Here it was the Del Mar races. I was down at the harbor with two friends for lunch, and I thought the whole world had gotten there for some reason. I've never seen so many cars. So this is all because of a couple of people had an idea. And that is true of all of our modern conveniences. Let's just think about it. I'm going to list a few of them. I know there are more. That we enjoy electric lights, air conditioning, telephones, computers, radio, television, indoor plumbing. I really learned to appreciate that in my first visit to India. The internet, automobiles, airplanes, bridges, skyscrapers, combines, railroads, tractors, and on and on and on and on. Now, we ought to stop to consider the individuals who had the idea in the first place for every one of those things. Everything that human beings have ever made began as an idea. Where? In their mind. Where do ideas come from? No one knows. But they are available. You know, ErnestHolmes said something interesting about this kind of thing. He said, it isn't that Spirit had a whole lot of cars in the quantum field or in the field of imagination. What it had was the principle of locomotion. And the principle of locomotion was observed when someone saw a rock rolling down the hill, turned it into a wheel, and began this whole thing, and now we're sending rockets into outer space, because the principle of locomotion can be used in a jillion ways by anybody who has an idea of what to do with it. And that's how we individualize all ideas that are available to us all the time. So these guys persevered in the face of resistance, and you know they met resistance. Anytime you try to change anything, people are going to say, no, why are you doing that? And I'm sure they isolated themselves from family and friends. I'm sure they worked diligently and had many failures before they were able to put it together to get the results they believed were possible. They did what Emerson said, and I want us to remember this simple little few words because this is key to today's talk. Emerson said, sit at home with cause. C-A-U-S-E, and he was talking about when anybody has a challenge or an idea, they must stay with the idea. I'll give you a perfect example. There was a Swiss-French physician. His name was Alexander Yersin, probably not pronouncing that correctly. He was a bacteriologist working for the Pasteur Institute in Hong Kong during the plague. Now, the plague was a really horrific human experience, and people were dying all over the place. All around him, people were dying. But what he did was stay in his little straw hut and worked diligently to isolate the culture and bacterium responsible for the plague. And he did it. He sat at home with cause. And he created the cure for the plague while it was going on. That's a perfect example of, and Reverend Kate alluded to it in the meditation this morning, that regardless of what's going on around us, we're sitting at home with cause here. We're sitting with spirit, with our own center of being. So he was not discouraged by what was going on around him. And that's a challenge. I mean, that's something we all practice in this teaching, and we must learn to do. It isn't burying your head in the sand. It isn't ignoring what's going on. It's knowing there is another reality that is more powerful and that requires our attention to it if we're going to actualize it and make the big sweeping changes we need to make in our world. It's where the ideas are. So can we do this? Can we sit at home with cause when we have a challenge or a difficult decision to make? Can we trust the process and count on the inner genius to open the doors for us? That everyone has an inner genius. Say it out loud. I have an inner genius. Now, you know, most people say, yeah, right. I can't even figure out how to turn on the VCR or whatever. No, we have an inner genius. And we tap into it when there's an impulse in us to do something. Something wants to be expressed by means of us. Something wants to come through. Composers feel it. Musicians feel it. Artists feel it. And so does anyone who is open to expressing in a new way. That inner genius clicks in and you get an idea whose time has come. You know, when those guys who invented the horseless carriage, they invented a car which was an idea. It was definitely time had come, right? And that's true for us as well. There are ideas in us that want to be expressed. It could be for more health, more wealth, more love, more joy, more compassion. Anything that our heart desires is possible, and there is an inner genius that knows how to bring it forward. Knows the how when we know the what. So what is key is that what is inside any innovator or any human being is greater than what they invented. There's always more that they can be done. And that's true of all of us, whatever we have done or not done, regardless of what our past has been, who we are still has direct contact with that inner genius, which if you want to call it God, that's fine with me. Spirit, the source. It is the center of cause where all ideas reside in potential. So when we speak of the inner genius, we're referring to a universal intelligence that does not play favorites, that is available to everyone, and is always accessible. Whatever we may be facing, we're not alone. We're not alone. We're living because of this presence within us. It's alive in us. Say this out loud. See how you feel about it. God is being me. That is a real challenging thing to say. If you go out in the world and say that, they might lock you up or try to medicate you or something. But whatever the presence is, it is individualizing as you. It has personified itself as us. So therefore, it's in us as our source of cause. And it always answers the call. But only if the call begins with, I am. That's the key. I'm going to really get into that in a moment. The call must be a statement about the self that is greater than the experience we're having, as if it were so. So I'm going to ask you to say some things out loud if you feel like it, because I want to see if you notice anything happening in your body. All right, let's give it some enthusiasm. This is important. All right, you ready? Let's say we're having a health challenge. Everybody once in a while has something happen. All right? All right. I am the vitality of spirit. Made visible as my body. I know that the inner genius is right now restoring my physical form in the image and likeness of its original intention. In the image and likeness of its original intention. I am fully alive. And I am in supreme good health. Now, I want you to know you just raised your body's vibration by thousands. Oof, I got chills. You know why? Because it's true. We're telling the truth. When the body tells a lie, it goes like this. I'm so sick. I feel so bad. I don't know what they're going to do. No, I am radiant health right now, regardless of any symptoms I may temporarily have manifested because of stress or beliefs or whatever. That is a temporary idea in form. It's not the truth. The truth always supersedes the lie. Always. The truth is always greater than the lie. And when it is spoken with I am, the inner genius listens. That's its directive. I am is its directive. Praying to God and begging doesn't do a thing. When you say, I am supreme health, the inner genius goes, yes, you are. And proves it. All right? So we don't have to know how these things happen. We have to know what is true about us. That's it. The how is magic. How things come about, it's just one of life. Because it's surprising and delightful, and we don't necessarily know how it's going to happen. But it does. So Emerson said this. Look at the monumental cathedrals of Europe. Look at the architecture around the world. Look at the Taj Mahal. And you know what? The little waving hand that built them is greater than what it built. That's why I called this talk The Little Waving Hand. Because when I first read that years ago in Emerson, I went, oh, that's so true. Because what we do is temporary, but who we are is what did it, what built it, what had the idea. This little hand, it's true of bricklayers, masons, electricians, anyone who contributes to that cathedral, that monument. It's just as important as the architect who didn't build it, but acted as cause to it, right? I want to give you an example of how important we are to the whole. My son John lives in Toronto, and he's a musician, among other things. And at one point, he played in a gamelan orchestra, the Indonesian music that is very percussive. They have drums and cymbals and gongs and little devices called gundars, which are metal, and you hit them with mallets, like a vibraphone. Okay, so in Bali and those places, at the end of the day, the whole village comes. Kids, old people, young people, and they all get into that orchestra and they pick up one of the instruments. Now here's the key. Everybody is playing something different. Some little part. Like I said on one of the rehearsals, they said, oh yeah, you can do this. I went, okay. And I was given this to do. Pa-pa-ta-pa-ta, pa-pa-ta-pa-ta, pa-pa-pa-pa-ta, again and again, and that's all I did for an hour, right? That's all anyone does. So here's the point of this whole thing. The beautiful music the audience hears, nobody is playing. No one in the orchestra is playing what the audience hears. Isn't that amazing when you think about it? That's how important the individual is to the whole. Your part, your daily thoughts, your meditations, your treatments are important to what's going on the planet right now. We are contributing to the whole whether we think we are or not. We are powerful beings. Powerful beings. We've jettisoned superstition and dogma. We know what we have to work with. Let's work with it. So this applies to everyone. We are always more powerful than what we have done in our life. Have you ever done something you regret? Oh my gosh. I mean, guilt is handy, right? You can grab it and run with it. Oh, I've done it. It doesn't matter what you've done. If you can make your amends and you can let it go and, whatever you need to do with another human being, if there's anyone involved. But for yourself, you must simply accept, if I'd known better, I would have done better. And now I'm more aware. Now I know that who I am is greater than what I've done. So now I can choose to do what reflects who I am, not what I used to believe about myself. The old I am. Here's some more. Let's try this one too. I am radiant vitality. I am prosperity in action. I am creative. I am full of great ideas. I am co-creating everything with my genius spirit. You see, that's good self-talk. That's the kind of self-talk you want to have running through your mind every day. Not what my friend Karen calls the Greek chorus. You know what a Greek chorus was in the old mythology? They stood behind and they had the shrouds and they're very evil looking. And we all have one. And that voice says, "You're not good enough. You're never going to make it. You little piece of fluff. You can't even fake it. You're too this and not enough that. You're too old and you're too fat." I'm being very transparent today. That's my Greek chorus. And you have one too. We cannot allow that to go on. We must replace it with the I am. I am a beautiful being of light. I am guided by an inner light that's even greater than mine. I have access to ideas. I can never run out of ideas. I am so creative every day I have something new to express. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am surrounded by beautiful people who see my light and whose light I see. This is how we must talk to ourselves. We must. This teaching is not something you use to get a parking place, although that works. I got 2 yesterday in the harbor. Here's what you do. Parking Pooh, thank you for being there for me, up front, close and personal, like you always are, always have been, and always shall be. That's mine. That's how I self-talk parking places. I know I'm being silly, but it works. You can laugh. Okay, so in The Oversoul, which is one of my favorite Emerson essays, it's the favorite of a lot of ministers. He said something, what is going on with the sound? He said something really, really powerful that I want you to take home. Our faith comes in moments. Our vice is habitual. He means we seek cause in those moments of great need, but most of the time we are simply repeating patterns. That's our vice, to not thinking about what we're thinking about, to not understanding or forgetting that the inner genius is listening and taking directions. So the moments of faith we have are realizations, insights, ahas, a sense of our oneness with cause, with all of life, a feeling of connection with nature. Those are the great moments of faith. And then we forget and let that Greek chorus start telling us lies again. So it's a practice. The inner genius is always listening. Emerson also said, we ascribe more reality to those moments of faith than to all other experiences because they're true. Because those moments of awareness of I'm one with everything, that we're telling ourselves the truth, and we never forget them. So there's something in us that knows our true worth is beyond experience. Our true worth is never damaged, it's never diminished by anything that's ever happened to us or is happening now. You can't break your soul apart. It remains steadfast in its wholeness, always ready to come forward as something new, as a new idea from that inner genius. It comes forward as unconditional love, as faith in the source, as everything we would wish to be, as an idea of I am. So ask yourself, what is my best idea about me today? What is your best idea about yourself today? What can you boldly declare, loud and proud, and put I am in front of it? Give that some thought today. And stand up and do it. Stand and deliver, I am. And end it with, and so it is. I'm led to do a treatment, so let's always begin as we customarily do. Knowing that there's one power, one life, one presence, one something, being, everything, beyond all form, but giving form to all. That something is everywhere present, all at once, all the time, all of it, right here, right now, where each one of us is. It always answers the call of I am. There is no other power. There is no conflict in the universe. There is only one universe, one song, one word, I am. And this great power and this great presence is beyond anything human beings have ever created up until this moment. And from now on, it takes us at our word. I live in freedom. I live in wholeness. I live in joy. I live in a democracy. I live in abundance. I live in equity and equality. I live where everyone is considered the beautiful being made by the Spirit of the universe. This is my world. I declare it to be so. I am grateful that it is so, and I let myself be the living proof of it by the decisions I make. I am the word in action. And so it is.